You're sitting in a warm room. You flip a switch. A light turns on. You press a button. A stove heats up. You strike a lighter. Instant fire. It's so normal that most people never think about it. But for almost all of human history, fire wasn't guaranteed. It wasn't convenient. It wasn't always available. And there was a time when humans didn't know how to create it at all. Imagine that for a moment. No campfires, no cooking, no warmth during cold nights, no protection from predators lurking beyond the darkness. Just another animal trying to survive. So how did ancient humans discover fire? Did someone accidentally invent it? Did they steal it from nature? Did a genius prehistoric inventor suddenly figure everything out? The truth is both simpler and far more fascinating, because humans probably didn't discover fire once. They discovered it many times. And before they learned how to make fire, they first had to learn how to keep it alive. The story begins long before civilization, long before farming, long before cities, in a world where nature occasionally created fire all by itself. Lightning strikes, volcanic eruptions, dry forests igniting during intense heat. Wildfires existed long before humans appeared. For most animals, fire was something to fear, something to flee, something that destroyed everything in its path. Humans feared it too, at first. But humans have always possessed a dangerous habit: curiosity. We look at frightening things and wonder if they might be useful. And somewhere, hundreds of thousands of years ago, a group of ancient humans may have approached a recently burned landscape after a wildfire passed through. What they found would have been remarkable. Dead animals already cooked, predators temporarily driven away, warmth, light, and perhaps most importantly, embers. Small glowing pieces of wood that continued burning long after the main fire disappeared. Those embers may have changed everything. Because creating fire is difficult, keeping an existing fire alive is much easier. Imagine discovering a burning branch after a lightning storm. You don't know how to make another one. If it goes out, it's gone. So you protect it, feed it, carry it, guard it. Some anthropologists believe early humans may have maintained naturally occurring fires for incredibly long periods before learning how to start new ones. Entire groups could have treated fire almost like a living thing, something that needed constant care, something too valuable to lose. And it makes sense, because the benefits were enormous. Fire provided light after sunset, which effectively extended the human day. Other animals became less active at night. Humans suddenly gained more usable hours. Hours for socializing, hours for making tools, hours for storytelling, hours for teaching. The campfire may have become humanity's first classroom. But light wasn't even the biggest advantage. The biggest advantage was food. Raw food is difficult to digest. Cooking changes everything. Cooked meat requires less chewing. Cooked plants become easier to process. More calories become available. More energy reaches the brain. Some scientists believe cooking may have played a major role in human evolution itself. In a strange way, fire may have helped build the very brains that allowed humans to dominate the planet. And then there was protection. Imagine sleeping in the wilderness, surrounded by predators. Lions, hyenas, wolves, large cats. Many animals instinctively avoid flames. A campfire creates a protective zone, a small circle of safety in a dangerous world. For ancient humans, that safety was priceless. Which raises an obvious question. If fire was so useful, why didn't every animal learn to use it? Because using fire requires more than intelligence. It requires control. A chimpanzee can understand tools. A crow can solve puzzles. But fire demands planning, patience, cooperation. You must gather fuel, protect the flames, understand what keeps the fire alive. Humans became masters of all those things. Over time, people stopped merely preserving natural fires. Eventually, they learned to create them. Exactly how this happened remains one of history's greatest mysteries. No one was there to write it down. No prehistoric inventor left instructions. But archaeologists have some ideas. One possibility involves friction. Rubbing sticks together generates heat. Enough heat eventually creates an ember. Another possibility involves striking certain stones together. Flint and pyrite can produce sparks. At some point, ancient humans realized that under the right conditions, those sparks could ignite dry material. The discovery probably wasn't dramatic. No triumphant music, no crowd cheering. More likely, it involved countless failures. Failed attempts, tiny sparks, smoke, nothing. Then, one day, success. A tiny ember, a tiny flame. And suddenly, humans no longer needed lightning. They no longer needed volcanoes. They no longer needed luck. For the first time in history, fire could be created on demand. That moment may be one of the most important technological breakthroughs ever achieved. Not because fire itself was new, but because humans gained control over it. And control changes everything. Once humans could reliably make fire, innovation accelerated. Harder tools, stronger weapons, safer shelters. New environments became habitable. Cold regions became survivable. Human populations expanded. Entire continents became accessible. Fire transformed geography. It transformed survival. It transformed civilization before civilization even existed. But perhaps the most fascinating effect wasn't physical, it was social. Think about what happens around a campfire. People gather together. They talk. They share stories. They pass down knowledge. They laugh. They form bonds. For thousands upon thousands of years, human beings ended their days around fire. Generations grew up staring into the same flickering flames, listening to the same stories, learning the same lessons. Some researchers even suggest that fire helped shape human language and culture, because for the first time, groups regularly spent long evenings together after dark. A fire doesn't just produce heat, it creates a social space, a place where information survives, a place where traditions survive, a place where communities survive. And that may be the greatest gift fire ever gave us. Now, here's the strangest part of all. Nobody knows who discovered fire. No name survives. No monument exists. No statue was ever built. The individual who first mastered fire may be the most influential inventor in human history, yet their identity disappeared forever. All we know is that somewhere in the distant past, an ancient human looked at one of nature's most destructive forces and saw something different. Not danger, not destruction, possibility. And from that moment onward, humanity was never the same. Every city, every factory, every engine, every power plant, every piece of modern technology can trace part of its story back to that first relationship between humans and fire. A relationship that began with curiosity, was strengthened by necessity, and ultimately changed the course of history. Because before humans learned to control fire, they were simply surviving nature. After they learned to control fire, they began controlling their world.